Kick-ass facts, pew 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 pew! We're talking about dumb criminals, and we probably will be for a few days because I fell down a deep rabbit hole on this one. In 2013, 26-year-old Peter Kavanagh worked with a London mob delivering drugs. While on a train ride back to London with the cash, he thought it would be an amazing idea to take selfies with the money. Kissing the money. Do you know where that's been? Bro, there's a lot of poop on there. Coincidentally, two dealers linked to the gang were arrested for possession. They led the police straight to Kavanagh, who was busted thanks to the pictures he kept on his phone. In 2008, 21-year-old Charles Ray Fuller walked into a bank in Fort Worth, Texas with a personal check in the amount of $360 billion. Buh! He told the teller that his girlfriend's mother gave him the check to start a record company. Shockingly, bank employees didn't think the check was legit. Naysayers. So they notified the authorities. Fuller was arrested for forgery, and at the time of the arrest, he also had a handgun and some weed on him, so they added drug possession and unlawful carrying of a weapon to his charges. In 2012, 19-year-old Hannah Sabata stole $6,000 from a Nebraska bank and then made a video in which she admitted to the crime and flashed the cash. The video was uploaded to YouTube under the title Chick Bank Robber. In the video, Sabata greets viewers with handwritten notes while Green Day's Warning plays in the background. The video captions say things like, "Hello, I stole from a car, then I robbed a bank with a gun, a pillowcase, and a note." She doesn't say a word during the video, then she flashes the wad of cash to the camera and the caption at the bottom said, "I just stole a car and robbed a bank. Now I'm rich. I can pay off my college financial aid, and tomorrow I'm going for a shopping spree. Bite me, I love Green Day." She was arrested later that day. In 2007, 14-year-old Shaquille Mckin made a number of cold calls throughout the Pinellas County area in Florida asking people if they needed some drugs. I mean, it worked for Will Smith in that movie. One of the calls he made was to the home of Matt Parks, a Gulfport police detective. Parks told McKinney he had the wrong number, but before he hung up, McKinney allegedly asked him if he wanted to buy some drugs. Park agreed, and they decided to meet in a nearby school parking lot where there were cops waiting. McKinney was then arrested and charged with possession of marijuana with intent to distribute within 1,000 feet of the school. In 2018, 26-year-old Adam Vale waltzed up to the front door of the Gladstone Police Department in Oregon and tried to steal a locked bike from in front of a police department. Police inside instantly noticed the crime in their surveillance cameras and watched in complete disbelief as the attempt to break the lock was made. Officers just walked out the front door and confronted him, who had been wearing a hat and a hoodie trying to conceal his identity. That only works if you're an Avenger. In 2011, police in Derbyshire, England, had several wanted suspects who had evaded capture for months for crimes ranging from robbery to serious SA. So they sent offer letters to the suspects, posing as a marketing company giving away cases of beer. All they had to do was call the marketing company and arrange for the beer to be dropped off. Suspects who fell for it were put through to the Chesterfield police station, and this led to 19 arrests. Okay, there's a lot of these, and I think this is one of my favorites. Certainly top 5. In 2009, 23-year-old Matthew McNally and 20-year-old Joey Miller tried breaking into a house in Carroll, Iowa. Witnesses described their getaway car to the police, who quickly tracked it down and pulled them over. Inside were the two men wearing impeccable disguises. They drew masks and beards on their face with permanent black marker. The local police chief said it was the funniest thing he'd seen in nearly 30 years on the force. The charges were later dismissed. The judge ruled there was insufficient evidence to support probable cause that the men committed the crime. That part isn't my favorite. That part is. This is another example of an almost indetectable disguise. In 2010, 48-year-old Dennis Hawkins tried to rob a Pittsburgh bank using a toy BB gun he had stolen earlier that day from a Kmart. His disguise: he was wearing clown pants, fake breasts, and a blonde wig. Shortly after police were called to investigate the robbery, they received a tip from a nearby gas station that a man fitting his description was attempting to steal a car. Hawkins, apparently covered in red dye from an exploding dye pack, entered a woman's parked car. She got out of the car with her keys and called the cops. When they arrived, he was still sitting in the car. Can we just talk about how sunglasses are not a disguise? If you watched daytime talk shows in the 1990s, you know that anytime Geraldo Rivera had someone on who wanted to be disguised, this was the disguise. In 2008, 37-year-old Tony Van was out on bail in San Francisco for stealing a 2008 Porsche Carrera worth $125,000. He showed up to the courthouse to hear the verdict in his case in a stolen 2005 Lexus SUV. There were Yorkie Maltese puppies in the SUV, and they escaped. Cops scooped up the puppies, ran the license plate, and found that the Lexus had been stolen in San Francisco. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Tony Van ran back to the SUV expressing concern for the dogs, and that's when he was arrested. He also had a laptop he swiped from another car, and no one knew at the time who the dogs belonged to. They did not belong to the SUV owner. While all of this was unfolding, the jurors were deliberating the original charge, for which they found him guilty. A couple of days later, he was arraigned on new charges, possessing a stolen car and computer, plus animal cruelty. His bail was raised from the original $10,000 to $250,000.